team has been looking a lot at bicycle issues. We've looked at a lot of the best practices, and there's not a lot out there right now. And we've tried to do the best we can for accommodating bikes with the new modern streetcar that will be coming to 4th Avenue and University area.
The project itself is modern streetcar. So that means it does have tracks in the roadway. They will be in the travel lane versus in its own right-of-way or versus in the center lane.
What we thought was the best approach, and what certainly worked in Portland, which was a girder rail. But girder rails are not something that is manufactured historically in the States. It became a real issue when the Tiger grant was awarded, because then it became a federalized, fully federalized project, and they really clamped down on the Buy America Act. So now we've been working through the process of finding out who can make domestic rail that would give us those same criteria, meeting the form flangeway that was a minimized width, that would accommodate the streetcar, but also would be something that would be safe in the roadways for pedestrians and bicycles to the extent you're going to have a rail in the roadway.
And we were limited to design between the curbs. We've got about 55 foot. Typically you have a 12-foot center turn lane. That's what's out there right now. We're taking that 12 foot and reducing it down to about 10 and a half. So what that does is it brings everything into the center of the road, buys us a little bit more room for the bicycles. The other thing is we're shrinking the parking down to 7 foot. So again, trying to create as much space between parking in the center of the road and the tracks as we can. The rail is actually in the roadway, so what we're looking at, actually don't have the map, but it's probably, it's more than 5 foot, we're probably 6 feet or so.
Right, so you're saying 6 feet from the edge of the car to the
edge of the rail to the parked car.
Okay, so a car opens, that means I have 3 feet. When a car opens its door.
Correct. The sharrows will be 11 foot off from the curb. So basically, that 6 feet that we have between the rail and the car will pretty much have a sharrow centered in that space.
They'll be traveling with the vehicular traffic and obeying the speed zones in those areas.
25.
So they're not going to be going more than 25, and more than likely, if they're on 4th Avenue, they're going to be creeping along. And people see these as being unmanned sometimes, and they are actually operating. So there will be somebody in the front of those vehicles operating it like you would a bus, but he's on rails.
Can you give an exact figure, though? That was my question. How much room will we have if someone opens their car door on the right and the trolley comes by? Exactly.
Yeah, it's not going to, I mean, it's going to be narrow. I don't know what the map is. I mean, if you're in front of a trolley and the trolley,
I'm not moving.
I mean, the trolley's not going to pass through.
Yeah, there's not enough room.
And that's really our purpose for putting those sharrows that far out, right, you know, as far out as we can, is because we really want the bicyclists to be out as far as you feel comfortable. University is actually between 4th and Euclid is exactly the same as 4th Avenue. Everything we discussed right now applies to University.
What about the very narrow section of University as you're approaching Park where the angle parking is going? Because with tracks in the travel lane there.
I actually don't have a cross section for that one. Here's the intersections. Some of the things we've done. 4th and University, we've got a bicycle dedicated left turn lane. So as you come up, and remember this will be a signal now. As you come up to the signal, you'll have your own left turn lane for the bikes, so that you always stay on the outside of the streetcar. Here's the Portland green pavement marking that indicates where at least a 60 to 70 degree angle to cross the tracks are.
And you tried that out, right?
And I've gotten down to 45 degrees before I didn't quite make it. We've got bike dots, dinner plates. Basically, here's a blow up of it. It has an arrow showing you what direction to go after you cross that indication. And then on this one of the issues we had is because of the geometry, that last angle puts you right into the curb. So we've got a cycle track here. And basically what that is a kind of a depression through the sidewalk. So you'll actually come out and then come back into a bike lane.